Imagine a visitor from another star, one that isn't supposed to be here, and yet it's passing through our solar system right now. A ghostly object glowing faintly against the black, silent, steady, and utterly alien. At first, astronomers thought it was just another comet, but then the data started coming in, and something didn't make sense. Its path wasn't bound to our sun, it came from somewhere else entirely. Its chemistry didn't match any comet we've ever studied. And when it passed close to Mars, cameras on orbit caught something so strange that even NASA went quiet. They call it 3I Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object ever discovered. But what it's doing out there has left the scientific community divided. Some say it's just an icy wanderer from another star. Others whisper it might be something more, something built. Tonight we'll explore what we actually know, what's still a mystery, and why this tiny fragment of the unknown might change how we see our entire place in the galaxy. It began quietly on a warm July night in 2025. The Atlas Survey, a network of robotic telescopes in Hawaii, was doing what it always does, scanning the skies for asteroids that might threaten Earth. One of those automated images caught a faint moving dot. Nothing unusual until the system flagged it for speed and trajectory. When astronomers ran the orbital calculations, they froze. The numbers didn't loop around the sun. They pointed away, far away. That single frame meant something extraordinary. This object wasn't one of ours. It wasn't born in the icy outskirts of our solar system like other comets. It was an interstellar traveller, a body that had drifted for millions, maybe billions of years between the stars, and by pure cosmic chance had crossed our path. Only two other objects like it had ever been seen. Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. Both changed how we look at our cosmic neighbourhood. Oumuamua, that strange tumbling shard that reflected sunlight in ways we still can't fully explain. Borisov, a textbook comet but moving far too fast to belong to our sun. And now, 3I Atlas, the third messenger. Every discovery like this is a once-in-a-generation moment. Each visitor carries chemical clues from another star system, a time capsule from somewhere we'll never reach. But this one had something different. Within days, its orbit placed it on a near-collision course with Mars, closer than any interstellar object has ever come to a planet we can observe up close. As the countdown to that encounter began, telescopes across the world turned toward it. Because if even one of them could capture what this object really looked like, we might learn not just where it came from, but maybe what else is out there. By mid-October 2025, 3 Atlas was racing through the inner solar system, a ghost from another sun streaking toward the red planet. Astronomers calculated it would pass dangerously close to Mars, not millions of miles away, but a sliver of cosmic distance, close enough for orbiting cameras to get a look no human eye has ever had of an interstellar object. Think about that for a second. A fragment of another star system passing right beside a world we've explored, mapped, and even walked on by proxy. It was as if two separate cosmic stories were about to cross paths. Mars, our next frontier, and a visitor from deep space brushing past it like a whisper. When the moment came, instruments on Mars orbiters, HiRISE, MRO and others were ready. For a few minutes they caught it. Images, high-resolution scans, data streams, all stored, transmitted and logged. Then silence. Official updates stopped. No public release, no images, just a short note. Data under review. Days turned into weeks. Rumours began swirling through the astronomy community. Claims that the images showed something unexpected. Something that required further analysis. What did they see? No one outside those teams knows for sure. Some believe the images were blurred or overexposed, routine technical issues. Others whisper that the object wasn't shaped like any comet we've seen before, that its reflections looked too structured, too deliberate. And while the scientists went quiet, the world noticed. Because every time NASA hesitates to show a photo, people assume there's a reason. But while the public argued, telescopes back on Earth were still watching. And what they found next didn't calm anyone's nerves. Because the closer 3I Atlas got to the Sun, the stranger its chemistry became. When the Mars encounter faded from view, astronomers turned to something even more revealing than pictures, light. Because light doesn't lie. By splitting the faint glow from 3I Atlas into its colours, scientists could read its chemical fingerprint. The gases boiling off its surface, the dust it shed, the invisible signature of where it was born. What they found wasn't normal. Most comets are made of water ice, frozen deep in the outer regions of a solar system. When sunlight warms them, that ice turns to vapor, giving us the bright misty tails we see from Earth. But 3I Atlas? It was different. Instead of water dominating its coma, telescopes detected carbon dioxide, far more than expected. A frozen gas that only forms in places colder than anything in our own system's nursery. That means this object likely came from a realm so distant and frigid that even sunlight is a rumour, a place where chemistry itself moves at the pace of eternity. Then came the nickel signature, the strangest clue of all. Spectrographs caught an emission line that looked exactly like vaporized nickel, but there was almost no iron alongside it, and that shouldn't happen. Nickel and iron are twin elements. They're forged together in the hearts of dying stars, locked hand in hand inside meteorites and planets alike. To find nickel alone is like hearing one half of a duet with the other voice missing. Some scientists suggested exotic compounds breaking apart in sunlight. Others proposed buried metallic veins exposed by violent jets of gas. But none of it fit cleanly. Even seasoned comet experts admitted they hadn't seen chemistry like this before. That's when whispers started again. A few researchers, careful, cautious but unafraid, asked the question no one wanted to say out loud. Could these signals be engineered? Not proof, not claim, just a possibility. Because when an object from another star glows with elements arranged in patterns we can't explain, you have to at least consider every hypothesis. Still, most of the scientific community stayed grounded. They pointed out that nature can be weirder than fiction, and we've barely sampled even a fraction of what's out there. Yet the timing was strange, because just as astronomers were arguing about nickel and carbon dioxide, the sun decided to get involved, and what happened next should have destroyed 3I Atlas. It was supposed to be the end. As 3I Atlas swept in toward the inner solar system, the sun unleashed one of the strongest solar storms of the year, a coronal mass ejection big enough to fry satellites and wash Mars in radiation. Anything fragile in its path, especially an icy fragment from another star, should have been vaporized. But when telescopes checked a few days later, the interstellar object was still there. Fainter, yes. Its tail stretched thin, its glow weaker, but intact. It had survived an assault that tears normal comets to dust. The odd part, instead of breaking apart, its brightness dipped, then stabilized, almost like something on or within it had adjusted, shielding it. To most astronomers, that meant the composition was just unusually tough, rich in carbon, maybe cloaked in a crust of rock-like material. But for others, it raised an eyebrow. They noted the strange regularity in its dimming pattern, a rhythm that didn't match random outgassing or spin. A few observatories caught faint periodic flickers, too brief to form conclusions, too strange to ignore. The data wasn't clear enough to claim anything beyond coincidence, but it was enough to make the public wonder if something about this object was controlling its own survival. Still, science moves on evidence, not whispers. And by late November, the world's attention had drifted elsewhere. Atlas was heading outward, its closest pass behind it, its story fading back into the deep black silence between stars. Or so we thought. Months later, teams analyzing archived images noticed something peculiar. Frames taken before and after the Mars encounter didn't quite line up. The object's acceleration had tiny anomalies, minute changes in speed that couldn't be explained by gravity alone. Radiation pressure? Possibly. But the direction didn't always make sense. It wasn't being pushed by sunlight. Sometimes it seemed to move against it. A data glitch, maybe. Or maybe not. Astronomers quietly compared the motion of 3I Atlas with that of Oumuamua, and the parallels were impossible to ignore. Both had unexplained acceleration. Both reflected light in strange, non-random ways. And both were gone before we could properly study them. Coincidence, probably. But if you're someone who believes the universe might hold more than just dust and gas, then each of these visitors starts to look less like an accident, and more like a message in transit. A signal, not of communication, but of presence. Proof that something beyond our little solar neighborhood has touched us, even briefly in passing. Today, Three-Eye Atlas is gone. It's racing away from the sun at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, fading into the cold interstellar dark it came from. It will never return, and we'll never see it again. But what it left behind, the data, the arguments, the quiet unease, still lingers, because every time something like this passes through our skies, we are reminded of how small we really are, and how big the story might be. Maybe it was nothing, a rock, a comet, an unremarkable traveller from a nameless star. Or maybe it was something older than civilization itself, a fragment of a world long dead, or even a forgotten machine drifting through eternity until chance brought it here. Whatever it was, Three-Eye Atlas has already changed how we look at the night sky. It taught us that the void between stars isn't empty, that now and then it sends us visitors, tiny silent reminders that the universe is alive, and that somewhere out there, someone or something might be watching the stars too. So as you drift to sleep, imagine that traveller still moving through endless black, beyond the reach of any sun, carrying with it the secrets of a place we'll never see, and maybe the quiet memory of us watching back. As the universe turns, we keep finding pieces of it drifting past us, silent, fragile, ancient. They don't announce themselves. They don't ask to be understood. They just pass by, reminding us that even in the vast emptiness between suns, there are still stories unfolding. Maybe one day, our own machines will cross paths with another world, and we'll be the visitors, a strange light moving through someone else's sky. Until then, we look up, we wonder, and we listen. Thank you for journeying with me through the mystery of Three-Eye Atlas, the traveller from another star. If you're still awake, consider subscribing for more quiet stories from the edge of the known universe. And if you're already drifting away, then let the stars keep you company tonight. Good night, and see you in the cosmos.